Hello. So in this video, we'll talk about another category of daily practice called mantra practice. You've probably heard of mantra, and you probably know a little bit about what it means. Essentially, mantra is just repeating words over and over again in your mind, and it's pretty simple. Many prayers are mantra practices, or you could call many mantra practices are prayer practices. But it's pretty simple. There's a few things that we'll talk about, and then we'll talk about some examples of mantra practices you could try. And so the first thing to think about is to decide, if you want to try a mantra practice, then you'll think, well, what mantra should I use? What should I actually say? And so the way to decide what mantra to try is the same way that we decide what type of practice we want to do, and which is we just listen to our heart. We listen to, what am I drawn toward? What am I longing for? We are taught in this culture that the only tool we have to make decisions is analyzing and thinking about it and trying to figure it out. And that's a helpful tool, but that's not really going to be helpful for deciding on a practice or deciding on a mantra. So instead, you can think of it, you already know what is right for you. You just need to listen inside for a deeper knowing, a deeper longing for. And so as you listen for that, something will come to you, and you will just know. And it doesn't mean it's the right practice for you or the best practice for you. This is just what you are going to try now. Okay? Don't worry about being right or best. And so as you are trying out a mantra practice, what you'll do is you'll just have this phrase or this prayer that you will repeat over and over again, and you will just keep repeating that for the duration of your practice time. So if that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, however long it is, you will just repeat that over and over again for the duration of your practice. And after a few days of this, you will notice, is this mantra kind of guiding me home to abiding love? Is it helping me to come home to abiding love? Or am I getting more distracted, or am I trying really hard, or thinking about things a lot? And so if it is able to help you come home to abiding love, great, keep doing it. Do it as long as it works, as long as it's helpful. If it's not, then you might choose a different mantra, or you might choose a different type of practice altogether, like some of the other ones that I've described, love practice or centering practice, etc. And so the main purpose of mantra practice, again, is not to do it right or to figure anything out or to think about the words. The main purpose is to come home to your center, to come home to abiding love. And that mantra can help with this by kind of simplifying the chatter in our mind to just one set of pre-selected words. Okay, that's a huge aspect of why mantra works and why it's helpful. It's just helping to simplify the mind, so there are fewer distracting thoughts that parts are kind of throwing into our mind. And so I think of this kind of like, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to televise the selection of lottery numbers. So they would have this tank full of ping pong balls, each with a lottery number on it, and they would pull one of them from the top at a time. You may have seen this. But essentially there's this tank with 100, or whatever, ping pong balls flying in all directions. It's total chaos. And that is kind of what our mind is like sometimes, is all these different parts of us having all these different thoughts, often competing thoughts at the same time, which can make it hard then to just come home to abiding love. So what mantra can do is it's almost like inflating a balloon inside of that tank so that there's less space for just all these chaotic thoughts, and just instead just this one very simple thought. It's not even really a thought. It's just this one simple repetition of a phrase or a prayer. And that's really, to me, the main power of mantra. The words themselves do matter. It's important to have words that are meaningful. But the simplifying is what's really helpful. And then from that, it's kind of like that can help, this one simple thing can help direct us home to our center, to abiding love. One note about mantra practice is many, many mantras are religious because they come from prayers, and this is kind of just how it is. And so most of the practices that I will offer you either are directly from a religious tradition or are kind of connected to a religious tradition in some way. And if the religious language of the mantra is not helpful for you, I encourage you to make any changes that would be helpful and make it helpful. And that you don't have to be connected to that religious tradition in order to get meaning from or help, in order for the mantra to be helpful for you in abiding love and coming home. Really, you just listen to what is my heart drawn toward. And if it's drawn toward this prayer or this set of words, but you have to make one little tweak to make it feel right to you, great, do that. And so I'll give you now just a list of mantras. Many of them are prayers that have been helpful for people. And I also, though, this is not an exhaustive list. There are probably thousands and thousands of mantras out there. I encourage you to search on the internet or to even just make up your own to find a good fit for you. So the first example I'll give is just praying the rosary. And I'm not going to teach you how to pray the rosary now. Essentially, it's usually using prayer beads, or kind of what they call a rosary, which is prayer beads, to repeat Christian prayers over and over again. The main ones are the Hail Mary, which is repeated the most, and the Our Father. But there's a couple others as well. And this is a beautiful practice. And again, you don't have to be Christian, you don't have to be Catholic to practice this. And you can also, though, you can use prayer beads with any mantra prayer. It doesn't have to be the rosary. So the rosary is kind of a circle of prayer beads with one little line of beads coming out of that. You could buy a rosary and just use that to do any mantra, just to kind of keep track of how many you've done. Another very common Christian mantra prayer is the Jesus prayer, which just goes, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And then that's repeated over and over and over again. There's a kind of an adaptation of the Jesus prayer, which I really like, done by a man named David Frenette, and he calls it heart intention. And this is a mantra practice that's based on the Jesus prayer, but he does some modifications that just help to open it up a little more to people from any faith background. And he has some videos. I'll link the first one. Is a series of videos that teach this heart intention practice. I really, really recommend this. And so I'll link the first video, and then you can just find the rest just by searching on YouTube. I'll link the first one below, and again, I really recommend that. Another form of kind of a mantra practice is chanting. And so the main kind of chanting that I know about is called kirtan, which is a practice mostly historically done in India and in the East, and is still done in India in many places. But it is a kind of repetitive singing, and there are different forms of it, and usually it is just different names of God in the Hindu tradition. Usually, I believe in Sanskrit language. I'm not quite sure. And I really like. There's one Westerner. He's an American guy who he changed his name when he went to India to Krishna Das, and he has kind of brought kirtan to the West in ways that I think are pretty accessible to us Westerners. And I really like his stuff. So if you search on YouTube or on Spotify, wherever music you can find music, if you search for Krishna Das, you'll find his kirtan, and I think it's really beautiful. Another similar form of kind of singing mantra, really it's very similar to kirtan, is called Taizé, which is Taize, which is a Christian form of chanting. It's against the repetitive singing. It's kind of singing the same words over and over and over again. And so the last example I'll give to you is just, it's a mantra I've been using recently. And I just call it, for lack of a better word, I call it the 3-part mantra. And it's based on a book by one of my favorite authors, Anne Lamott. She's a spiritual writer, a humorous spiritual writer. She's hilarious. I love her. She wrote a book called Help, Thanks, Wow. In the book, she says that these are the 3 main ways that we connect with the divine. So we say help, I need help. I'm in trouble. Something's not going right. I need help. We say thank you for all of the blessings that have happened in my life. And we say, wow, like this is amazing. We have this sense of awe or praise. And so I'll give you just the words that I use in my mantra. I really encourage you to make some changes or tweaks in whatever way makes sense to you, feels right. I will use the word God. You can use any word you want for kind of divine spiritual love. So the word spirit or higher power, universe, earth, mother, father, anything that makes sense to you. So here's the mantra. Praise God for creating me. Thank God for loving me. Help me, God, to trust. And then I just repeat that over and over again. So as I'm doing that, I'm not necessarily thinking about the words. I'm not trying really hard to convince myself that I believe this or something, which I used to do. Instead, it's almost like I'm allowing the words to carry me and my awareness, carry me to my center. And as that happens, I'm moving from my head, in a way, moving from my head to my heart and closer to this abiding love, this deep presence, a felt sense of I am okay. So if you're interested in any of these, I encourage you to try them. All of this information is right below the video. There's a transcript. You'll probably have to click the word more to see the whole transcript on the YouTube page. And if you're like, you've given me so many examples, where do I start? Just start with that last one. Start with this 3-part mantra. Some form of praise, thank you, help me, or help, thank you, praise, whatever makes sense to you. All right. Have fun. Thanks.